Welcome in, baseball fans. Let's talk some ball. It's Talkin Ball, brought to you by the law office of David J. Lopez. And it's the best time of the year. The postseason is here in the SEC and all over college baseball. We'll talk conference tournaments and then obviously the bigger tournament. Longhorns have wrapped up a 40-12 regular season as the 2 seed at the Hoover, Alabama SEC tournament, where it just means more, remember. We'll talk all things Texas, also Texas A&M, the 3 seed, right behind Texas, as they took 2 out of 3 from Mississippi State last weekend down in San Marcos. Texas State is scratching and clawing and trying to fight their way at the Sun Belt tournament to get themselves into the bigger tournament the following weekend. And we're excited for this time of year. I am Aaron Hogan. He is the coach. Ty Harrington. Skipper, how are you, my friend?
I'm great. I am, me, this time of year, most people start to play down a little bit on college baseball, and this is the time you really need to be paying attention. Postseason is here. There's so many things about to take place out of last weekend, a lot of moving and shaking out of last weekend to get to the postseason, and now we're there. I know a lot of people, I think I heard you talking about it this morning, the conference tournaments are what they are sometimes, and I'm not going to agree, but I'm not going to disagree. How about that? If I'm gonna be
fence rider, we call you.
I'm going to be neutral.
Switzerland and Sweden.
Was one or the other. I don't. No, look, the SEC tournament, the first couple rounds will be fun to watch because they're playing for their lives. So to stay in it. Everybody else, by the time you get to Friday, it's tuning up for the next week.
Yeah, and we'll hear Jim Schlossnagle will talk about that here on our Talkin Ball podcast, brought to you by the law office of David J. Lopez. I will play you a piece of audio here. Throw those headphones on, Skip, because this is as we record this 15th episode of the Talkin Ball podcast, postseason edition. We are watching the SEC tournament happen. It's the 9 seed Ole Miss taking on Missouri, the 16 seed. And I believe if this audio works properly, we are going to hear the first ABS challenge of the SEC baseball tournament. Here we go. Can we hear this?
Via the long ball, they'll need to play small ball to find some offense. This will be an early challenge from Austin Foley. And it's a ball.
That's what you love about it. It looked good on film, but...
Okay, so there we go, Ty. There's the catcher for Ole Miss challenged a pitch, thought it was a strike. It was ruled outside. It was called outside, and it was ruled outside. So there you go. History made at the SEC baseball tournament. It took that long. We were in the, second?
Not very.
Yeah, it didn't take very long.
Not very.
And as you anticipated, and remember the rules, you have 3 seconds to challenge it, but only 3 people can challenge it, the pitcher, the hitter, and the catcher. And I'm assuming from your managerial chair, I think in Major League Baseball, a lot of coaches are just let the catcher make the challenges, leave the pitcher out of it for the most part. You know, the pitcher can we got 3 seconds to kind of communicate, should we kind of thing. But how would you have handled this going in? I mean, I know all the players had to get measured when they got there of their bodies for their swing and their strike zone. How would you have handled that with you and your staff if you were going into this for the first time where this ABS system is available?
I would have approached it. Only 2 people can do it, the hitter and the catcher. I'd have taken the pitcher out of it, and just there's just one less thing that he needs to concern himself with, right? I mean, we've gone your whole career without this, so let's don't get emotionally attached to it now. And then I think I would have asked them to use it in the changing of a moment, meaning ball 4 or strikeout. Outside of that, I think I would just let the game play itself out. But if it is or if it is incredibly obvious, then you can use it. But really, I know people think I get crazy about this. It's the out or the ball 4 to me that are the ones that need to be challenged the most.
Well, that's an interesting first case scenario there, because that was the first inning. So Ole Miss just lost a challenge. And
Mike Bianco probably said, "Hey, anything in the first inning, let's just fire one off and see how this thing goes."
And we talked to Mike on the podcast early in the year. That was first inning, and I don't think anybody look at the bases. Nobody on base. One out.
They were warning the umpire. Hey, we're here. We're going to use it.
Get your zone together. And the umpire was right the first time. That could be a trivia question for you. As Austin Foley, the catcher, was, I believe, who challenged that and then was wrong. But that's fun. So we got the SEC baseball tournament. There's 4 games today. And as you said, I mean, there's some 3 teams like Missouri and South Carolina and LSU know they have to win the whole dang thing to make it. And then, boy, there's some intriguing games today with that 12, 11, 13 category in the SEC.
Yeah.
And so today really matters. I think beyond this, and as you said, you get to Friday, and let's hear Jim Schlossnagle on this, and we're going to talk Texas baseball, the recap of the Missouri series. But while we're playing audio and having fun with it, here's Jim Schlossnagle from Saturday. Remember, all the SEC series last week were Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Texas swept Missouri. Dylan Volantis was great on Thursday's start with his 12 punch-outs or 11 punch-outs, whatever it was. Gave up a solo homer, the first batter, and then completely mowed down Missouri. Friday night's game, a little panic for Texas fans. Aiden Robbins gets one at bat, and then comes out of the game. Everybody's freaking out. Turns out he's got a stomach bug. They sent him home. He's, get out of our dugout. Go get yourself well, young guy.
Yep.
Longhorns go on to win that game fairly easily with Carson Tenney hitting another grand slam. This one over the monster again. He has had one heck of a year. And then Saturday was interesting that the Longhorns got up 8-0. We're cruising, and then the bullpen started to get shaky. Missouri got all the way back to 8-7. They stretched it out. They win 12-8 or 12-7. Longhorns sweep the series, and we're going to talk about it in length. But I want to hear Jim Schlossnagle because that put the capper on the 52-game regular season. Longhorns 40-12, 19-10 in the SEC. And Schloss was asked, I think by Kirk Bowles of the Houston Chronicle, are you going to pop some champagne as the number 2 seed? And as kind of a tongue-in-cheek question. And here's how Schloss answered that question.
No. I mean, we certainly didn't get to pop champagne after winning the thing last year. We all know what the standard is here, but I am proud of our team to win 19 games in this league. Is it 16 out of 20 series in 2 years? That's pretty awesome. To win 40 games in the regular season, awesome. It's hard to do, especially in today's college baseball in this conference. So, really proud of our team, but we have got to be better. We have got to play better, and we got to get healthy. And that's everybody this time of year. And we've played well enough to earn the right of the time to get healthy, and the structure of the conference tournament. So, we need to take advantage of that.
All right, so pick it up there, Coach. I mean, when you translate that, Manager 101, Coach 101, Coach to Coach, we've done good enough to this point to earn the right to try to rest up and be our best in 2 weeks is kind of what I'm hearing there. Am I right on that?
You're right on. No, you're right on. I mean, I this was a year ago. I was playing golf with Chris Burke and
of ESPN, formerly ESPN, Tennessee Volunteer.
Yeah, and we were going into the final week of the season, and he, we were talking about the tournament, and I made comment that I don't think. This was last year. I said, I don't think Schloss is going to throw anybody this first round because, they're injured, they're beat up, they're tired. And he said, well, it's the SEC tournament. I was like, I know, but this was single elimination first time, I think, right?
And it is again this week,
yeah. And I just go, it doesn't make sense. I said, let me back up and say this. I said, if I would consider not throwing my guys. Because particularly in game one, because you're going to ask them. The goal is to get to Omaha. They're in position already to do that. So that answers what your statement or what Schloss's statement was. That we've earned the right to approach this how we choose to approach it.
Yeah,
and that's real.
Well, and so if Dylan Volantis doesn't, Texas's first game we're recording on a Tuesday will be Friday. Someone's going to come all the way through this bracket that starts either today or tomorrow, and Texas will play Friday at 3 o'clock. I wouldn't anticipate seeing Dylan Volantis, but you'll probably see, and you won't see Luke Harrison. You won't see Ruger Riojas for sure, and we'll get into Ruger in a minute. But back to your manager side, you get a chance to put somebody on the mound in a game that matters that you might need in a regional that hasn't started a lot of ball games this year. You might need when you get to Omaha, and you need someone to walk out there and start a game that hasn't been a starter for you. That's an opportunity for a young guy that's been working hard, and you get to see it. You get to see how they react when the lights come on, whether it's a Brody Walls or a insert player here, maybe this other young kid that we're seeing. But that's an opportunity for a young player to go step up.
I think, yes. I do think there's discussion about staying on your regular. So, for Dylan Volantis, Friday is his normal day.
Yeah.
So you don't want him not to touch the baseball for 14 days in a competitive situation. Do they let Dylan go out there on Friday for 30 pitches? I do think that's a possibility. I actually think it may be a probability that they would let him go out there. That would be his bullpen in live action, and so I do think that that's a possibility. Again, that's going to be discussed between Max and Coach Schlossnagle and the pitchers. What is best for you, Dylan? What makes you feel the best? Some guys do not like getting off of their regular schedule. They works for them. You could call it superstitious. You could call it whatever you want to call it. But
routine oriented is what I would call it.
Yeah, they like that routine. They know what that day is. So that wouldn't surprise me. Nobody's going to get overextended. Now what I think they may do is use one of those games, and maybe they let Valantis throw on Friday, maybe they don't. But I think they're going to run, as you just said, Walls and some of these guys who need to get out there because they may be the bridge that gets you to Omaha.
Okay, before we get into Ruger Riojas and why I don't think we'll see him, there was some panic, or at least some concern, for Texas on Saturday when Ruger Riojas on Senior Day was a part of that senior celebration and went out and got one out on the game Saturday, got a line out to first base, and immediately Jim Schlossnagle popped out of the dugout, and that was it. You got one out of your starter, which people were concerned about. Is there some injury here? And let's get the answer from Jim Schlossnagle after the game. This was by design.
Is Ruger injured? What kind of happened there?
Yeah, we basically just wanted him to get an appearance on Senior Day, to be honest with you. And I'm not going to tell you he felt like a 10, but he didn't feel any worse than last week. So I knew we wanted to get Cody Howard an extended look. We wanted to get Higgins in the game. And so, Ruger, we get a chance to really give him a chance to reset between now and the regional.
All right, so we're now in the regional. Didn't even mention the conference tournament. So when you hear him say, by design, you understand why a senior on Senior Day with his family there wants to get an appearance. And I'm sure Ruger let his family know it's not going to be a long one, but it's been a great career. He said, I'm not going to lie to you, and said he feels 100%. Feels like a 10 is what he said. But what does that tell you? It's been a long season. Now, Ruger Riojas, I've seen guys get the tired arm at some level at sometimes. What does that sound like to you?
It's similar. I think that they can buy him some rest right now, and I think that there's probably some fatigue in there. He is an effort. There's effort when he pitches, meaning
max guy. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot going on in there. His delivery, his competitiveness, number of pitches thrown when he gets out there, because he's a high strikeout guy. So I think it's just fatigue at the end of it. And let's hope that's what it is. Nobody has said anything different. I haven't heard anything different. Now, when I'm down there around the dugout, I don't ask those questions. If somebody wants to offer up what's going on at different times about different things, I'll listen. But I haven't heard anything to say anything different. So if he was willing to let him go out there to start the game and get one hitter, I know it doesn't sound like much, but you remember you had to go through your bullpen, you had to go through your routine to get ready for it. If there was a huge concern for it, I don't know that they'd have let him do that.
Yeah, that's a fair point. That's not worth the risk. And getting yourself warmed up, get to the full lather, and get one batter and get out of there. Yeah, if there was something significant, wouldn't have seen it. Before we get into the all SEC teams were announced this week and the latest, but what were your overall thoughts on the Missouri series? I know you saw the Thursday game. You called it with Dylan Valantis doing what he does. What were your takeaways?
I guess a couple things. Dylan Valantis, it was interesting to me when he gives up the leadoff homer. Okay, he doesn't give them up. It's 2 this year. That was
all
the
year
second
long.
this year, right?
Cutter that stayed up to a left-handed hitter, and he jumped on it.
He did, and a good hitter. He's a good hitter. And but when he hit the homer, I was like, well, this is going to be interesting just to see. He's not used to this. What does he do? He just goes strikeout, strikeout, strikeout.
I think he struck out the next 6 guys.
Yeah, so it wasn't too. It didn't emotionally affect him. I didn't think it was going to anyway. But he's just so good. He is. I don't know how a guy with a breaker like that, 2 breakers like that, is so efficient. To me, it mind boggles me that guy can land a breaking ball when he wants to for a strike, and he does. I look, and it's 2-0 counts. Here it comes. It is fun to watch. He remember now, the straightest between 2 points, a straight line's the closest path, right? Which is what your fastball is. So if you want to be a directional pitcher, your fastball is your way to do it. And he just bigger breaker. I mean, and he lands them.
And you, as a former hitter, watch it and be like, "Oh my God, I don't even want to try that."
It's a nightmare. It's a nightmare trying to figure out how to watch that thing from an above position with your face, and then watch it come roaring downhill. It's just fascinating.
Yeah, well, we got a little issue with Dylan Volantis we'll get into coming up, but rest of the weekend, Missouri, you see why their pitcher for Thursday night, pretty good pitcher, handcuffed Texas a little bit.
Thought he was good.
And he handcuffed Georgia this year, which tells you he's got some stuff, but there's a reason they went 6-24. They don't have a lot of depth in that program right now. Texas took advantage of that. Meanwhile, give the Aggies some credit, which we'll talk about.
Yes.
And Georgia went in and won another series with Auburn this weekend. Aggies lost to Mississippi State on the first game, got beat up 18 runs they gave up, got pounded. Bounced back for Michael Early's team, won both games on the weekend in pretty dramatic fashion. Bear Harrison hit the big home run that helped them win the Saturday game and really clinch and hold on to that number 3 seed. And had Texas dropped a game, they would have jumped to the number 2 seed. So that led to what we got this week, which was all conference teams. And it's pretty amazing to me as we're handing out accolades of our own here on Talkin Ball. Carson Tenney hit a grand slam over the weekend. He's got 20 home runs. I will say, for your history of the Texas program buff, Ty, because you played there in the 80s, you've seen a lot. This Texas team this year is now the first one ever to have 3 hitters with 17 home runs or more, because Casey Borba had a couple more. So he's got 17 home runs now for 452 games. Aiden Robbins and Carson Tenney, both 20 home run seasons for them. That's the first time that's ever happened at Texas. So a lot of power in the lineup. Then Casey Borba's got his back going. But on Tenney, he is one of 3 players in the country to be WAR, right? The very popular metric, wins against replacement. He's top 50 in offensive WAR, defensive WAR, and overall. There's 3 players that are top 50 in all 3 of those. It's Rock Chalowski at UCLA, it's Carson Tenney, and then it's the catcher at Georgia Tech, who's going to be a top pick as well in the draft. But guess what? Carson Tenney's not even the first team all-SEC catcher this year, which we'll tell you about. But give me your thoughts on Tenney and what he's brought to the Longhorns behind the plate.
I'm going to tell you exactly my thoughts on that guy. That guy has, from the first 2 weeks that he was here, he was willing to still take walks. He was not hitting the ball well. His barrel was placed towards left field, pull side, maybe even closed shut more than that. A lot of best balls he hit were foul at the beginning of the year, but he still took his walks. He did not panic, stayed with it. Coach Schlossnagle kept him in the 2 spot, allowing him to have as many at-bats as he could to get at the barrel faced in the right position. And then you could see as time kept going, the hits were from here, this way, more out to, and then I don't remember the exact day. I was doing a game, and he hit a line drive, an absolute missile line drive the other way, just like to right field, like a left-handed hitter had hit it. And I remember thinking to myself, and I remember saying, "Uh-oh, everybody better look out." And he brought the whole field into play and from me, from that day forward, it wasn't just pull side homers. It became to the middle part of the field. Then he hit an opposite field tank, and I remember just thinking, this guy has got power just every piece of what do you do? How do you get the guy out? And then he takes his walks. I mean, he doesn't expand very much. He doesn't get himself out. He doesn't trash at bats. And, he hit a homer in the Missouri game, the first one he hit to dead center. And I remember just watching, I was right center, and I was just going, my God, the power that this guy possesses. And the ball wasn't a terrible pitch, right? I mean, but he timed it up, and he just clubs it. And I don't know. I think the guy is a big league hitter. I think he's got power to go to the big leagues as well. He's been an incredible addition to this Texas team, and anybody that's willing to take a walk and then hits with power has got my vote. He should, in my opinion, he should have been a candidate for Player of the Year in the SEC. But whatever.
Agreed. Well, he was a candidate, but here's the problem: he was not the Player of the Year because the catcher for Georgia was, and it's hard to. Let me throw some things at you because I saw the things like, well, Carson Tenney's second team all SEC catcher. But the Georgia Bulldogs rightfully showered with some accolades from the conference coaches and the SEC. Their third-year head coach, Wes Johnson, was named the Coach of the Year. Congratulations, 23-7. Best year they've had in almost 2 decades now. 2008 was the last time they've been this good. But they landed 3 players on the All-SEC team. Their third baseman, Trey Phelps, their outfielder, Ryan Lujo, and then the player of the year, their catcher, Daniel Jackson. And as great as Tinney was, this kid, Daniel Jackson, hit 27 home runs. He led the conference in batting average at .394, drove in 77. Oh, yeah, he stole 28 bases. Yeah. He's one of 6 players all time in Division I with 25 homers and 25 steals. So
yeah, that's impressive.
You give it to him.
Yeah, that's impressive. It's just bad timing for Carson Tinney.
Yeah, it is.
Right?
It's like, damn.
I mean, can you be player of the year and then be A and B and then
he could have been. He could have been player of the year. 100% he could have been player of the year.
Last year he would have been.
Yeah, 100%. And that's, and he's not even first team all conference because of the position he plays.
Bad timing.
Yeah, bad timing. Ask Josh Allen about Patrick Mahomes in the AFC. It says,
right.
Bad timing. I'm playing along with Patrick Mahomes. But that just happens in athletics. All you can do is your best, and he controlled a lot of controllables this year, as you said. And the kid Jackson's great at Georgia. That's why Georgia's going to be a team no one was going to want to see. But so second team for Tinney, but should mention congrats to Aiden Robbins. He's the newcomer of the year in the SEC. Anthony Pack Jr., the freshman of the year. And, all 3 of those guys do what for you young hitters out there, young coaches that are coaching young hitters, use all fields. All 3 of those guys will hit it to left-handed Anthony Pack will use all fields. Aiden Robbins has shown the opposite field power. What about Aiden Robbins? What have you seen with his development from Troy Tulowitzki? Because he came from Seton Hall with only 6 home runs. And I know he played in different weather and a different ballpark, but he really unleashed the power. What do you think it was that Troy unlocked with him? I
think discovering what pitches that you really get after and what pitches you don't, what pitches you're capable of hitting out of the park. One of the hardest things to teach a young hitter is I know you can hit that pitch. I know you can put it in play, but that's not what I want you to do. I want you to put it in play and pick the pitch that you can, elevate, or pick the pitch that you can drive, more so than just, I know you can hit it. Maybe it was a single, maybe it's just a ground ball to shortstop. And so I think understanding of what pitch is a powered pitch for him, what pitch can you drive the other way, what pitch can you go pull side with, and I think it's more about the height and the type of pitch that he's made. I think
that's a fascinating observation as usual, Coach, because he had a 500 plus on base average at percentage at Seton Hall, and he had a 406 batting average or something. So you knew he could identify the right pitches, put the bat to the ball, but maybe sacrifice a little bit of the batting average to start doing some damage into the gaps.
What you can do with it, and then having the ability to unleash but control the barrel. Unleash it meaning your approach and really let the barrel fly instead of just trying to put the ball in play or guiding the barrel to put the ball in play. I think they probably had to convince him his eye-hand coordination was at an elite level. So let's use that on something that you can drive. And I think just help training his mindset with that and the physical piece of it. I've heard him talk about it. So I feel like that was a piece of it too. That's and then you're older. A much more mature hitter. You want to think that you grow as a player every year. You're not supposed to back up. And so I think that had something to do with it too. And I'll tell you one more thing. It's just a personal opinion. I could be dead ass wrong, but anytime you put on an orange and white uniform and you're out there, for the really good players, it elevates their game and their mindset.
Yeah, and he's brought that mindset from day one. He's been the emotional guy, the swag, as they like to call it.
That's right.
He plays with it, no doubt about it, a confidence that's for real. Not unsportsmanlike by any stretch, but he really enjoys playing the game and plays it hard and plays it right. Aiden Robbins, first team all SEC, as was Dylan Volantis, as was Sam Cozart. Again, Anthony Pack, the freshman of the year. And then one debate would be the Aiden King, SEC pitcher of the year, over Dylan Volantis. We debated it on the morning show for a good bit this morning. The only thing I can see different is Aiden King got one more start than Dylan Volantis in SEC play. That's because Dylan had one rained out. And I guess Dylan Volantis was pitching on Sundays for the first half of the conference, which I don't get. But overall, Aiden Robbins had better numbers, and his team finished in second place versus fifth place. I would have thought Dylan Volantis would have gotten the vote and been the SEC's pitcher of the year. Instead, it's Aiden King.
You're going to have to convince me of that one. Somebody's going to have to do a better job with that one on me. But, I mean, you read the statistical values of them, doesn't make sense. Doesn't add up. So he didn't get one more start. Okay, well,
Sorry,
we can't
Mother
control
Nature.
Mother Nature, and so I don't. Somebody has to work hard to convince me that they got that right. I don't think they did. That was wrong. And that's not the emotional side of me, and me wanting him to be pitcher of the year as a UT player, but just from a coaching perspective, when you're looking at that, you're going. It was like almost a whole point difference in their ERA.
Yes, in conference play, in conference games.
Yeah, and I was just like, oh, come on, man. But whatever. That's, the coaches and the SIDs, that's their
their
job.
vote, yeah.
Right.
Well, and plenty of accolades for Texas, but yes, I think the Dylan Volantis fan club has a right to be critical of that one. Now, the rest of it went good, and Georgia, rightful with all the awards they got. Also, for the Aggies, Gavin Grohovac named first team All SEC, All Defensive Team, and on the Scholar Athlete team. So he's had a heck of a year. Gavin Grohovac, great job down there at Texas A&M. Caden Sorrell, Chris Hakopian, and Clayton Freshcorn all on the first team All SEC from the third place side of things. So, Michael Early's got a team that's heading in, feeling pretty good about themselves. That was big for them on Saturday and Sunday, or Friday and Saturday, to give up, almost 3 touchdowns on Thursday and bounce back and win back-to-back games.
You know what they did too that was I liked? They get clubbed on Thursday night. Friday they bounce back and win, play clean and win. And then on Saturday they brought the guys that they ran out there on Thursday and they ran them back out there on Saturday on the mound and said, boys, buckle up. You're gonna have to figure this out. And they did. That is, to me, that was a bold move. To do that, you could have just said, hey, let's just, let's work our way back into this. We'll use a tournament, let you go back in there. But couple of those guys that they ran out there on the mound on Thursday, they ran their butts right back out there.
And it's funny, Jim Schlossnagle said some of that because Coach was funny on Saturday after they won the game, but it got way much longer than it needed to be. It was 8-0, and then it got way too close, and it became almost a 4-hour game.
Yeah.
And Coach Schloss was like, I was wondering what I was going to do between the end of the game and the George Strait concert, but my guys took care of me. So now I got a seamless transition over to see the King play. But later he was asked about, because Brett Crosland came in and hit a couple guys and gave up 5 runs, and then Thomas Burns came in, and even Hayden LaFew, who was so good in Knoxville, he struggled a little bit. And Schloss was asked, he said, we got some guys got to clean up their act, he said. Got to clean up their act, but then he went into the whole idea that these are young guys, and, one game they're lights out, and then the next time they can't find it. Explain that. And he did say at one point they're babies. They're like 18 years old. If you have kids, you understand they can have their good days and bad days, but that's where fans are pulling their hair out. I know Schloss is too. Like, what in the world? What is the difference between a ball player one day to the next? I think us golfers can compare it to our golf game.
Okay, there you go. There's no better example that if you play golf or whatever it is that you do, one day you're really good and the next day you're not. And
one hole you're good.
It's just the game dictates part of that. A person's confidence has something to do with it. Concentration, focus. There's so many things that go into somebody being really good. And the other part of that for some of the Texas pitchers is some of those guys are breaker heavy, so they rely on swing miss. So if you're not swinging at it, or if they're not locating it enough, they're going to walk some guys. That's just, if you're going to be breaker heavy, that can happen, and some of those guys can be. But it's just Jim's right. They're young, and it's hard to understand as a coach, and it's taken Coach Slice this long probably in his career to get to the point where you're at, because as a coach, you start going, what the is what the, and then you go back home and you wake up the next day and you personally aren't as good as what you were the day, or something like that. Something happens in our life. I love the golf analogy. You go out and shoot 72, and all of a sudden you're like, wow, I only bogeyed 1 hole, had 3 or bogeyed 2 and had 2 birdies or whatever, and you feel pretty good. I just hit it in the middle. My irons were nice and clean. My up and down game, the 4 holes I had to get up and down, I was able to get up and down. Then you go out there the next day and you shoot 79. And it's a struggle to shoot 79. It's the same thing.
It is. It's and when you were saying,
and we're not young.
When you were saying what the, I think the three common denominator, what this, coaches when they're watching a young guy struggle on the mound that was great the day before, what the.
Yeah,
golfers You know, like, gosh, how many times have you followed up a birdie with a double? I mean, come on, what the? And then parents do that too. He's like, what the heck? Come on, man. Like, I thought we worked on this stuff. But kids are kids, young people are young people, and even us adults make mistakes. But that's where Texas is. And Schloss was I'm sure Michael Early at A&M would say the same thing. Any of these teams that want to go to Omaha and make a run, we're going to need those guys.
You can't beat them up.
You can't call 1-800 send me a pitcher.
Nope.
You can't call Amazon and deliver a right-hander who can get big outs in a big spot. He said Brett Crosland's going to have to throw us some good innings if we're going to make a run here.
And they made him do it. Look, Michael Early made him do it. He said, we're not going to hide it. We're going back to it. And I would say this, I would argue that Michael Early's done as good. Now, it'll all be finalized where they end up and how the season ends for them. So if they get beat next week in a regional in the first 3 games and they don't make it out of the regional, everybody's going to be – I think he has done a tremendous job holding the fabric of that team together coming out of a year ago and finishing 3rd in the SEC. They're going to host. And so I think that guy's done a tremendous job this year.
Yeah, Georgia, Texas, and A&M, I think, are pretty much assured at this point.
I think
and Auburn, okay.
Yeah, I think so
those
too.
4, we know about 12 or 13 SEC teams are going to be in the big dance. We should also say congrats to the Texas softball team who is through to the Austin Regional. Aggies got walked off by Arizona State last week and run ruled, so it'll be Texas and Arizona State to go to the College World Series on the women's side in softball. Texas would like to join them. And obviously, next week's Talkin Ball podcast will have the full rundown because Memorial Day weekend coming up after the tournaments, we will know the full field of 64, and we will talk about it. And as we're going to wrap this thing up on Conference Tournament Week, Coach, what about Texas State? What is their path? We talk A&M, we talk Texas State, the SEC. What's the path for Steve Trout's team? They did have a nice weekend this past weekend, and now there's a path for them potentially at the Sun Belt Tournament.
Yeah, what does that say? What's that old saying? Win, baby, win. And They had a good weekend. They came back, swept Marshall. They had to, and they did. What's been interesting about this team is just about every time somebody gives up on them, they come roaring back. I mean, Coach Trout's done a good job of rallying the troops and getting them in a good position to play hard, and they have. They've responded well. They need to get. I can't predict the future, but I think at a minimum they've got to get to the championship. The tournament to help themselves if it's an at-large. Obviously, the easiest thing, not the easiest, the secure thing,
most direct way
is to win the tournament. But I think it's a challenge. But I do think sometimes you get in those tournaments. I don't think Coastal's they're not a host now, so Coastal won't be pressing their staff, pitching staff. So. That may be beneficial or could be helpful.
That's why I have my opinion on conference tournaments, and you were going to stay neutral with those. Yep. You got teams that are fighting for their lives versus teams that are positioning themselves for later. It just leads to weird games, and who knows. And it doesn't make it a bad baseball game. It just makes it not nearly as important as what starts the following week and what we just wrapped up. It's just there. But I know it's for SEC fans like Chris Burke. I mean, it's the SEC tournament, and it's kind of the fabric of the conference. Texas fans and maybe me need to learn that, or they are what they are. They service television and revenue and attendance and all those things. But I know Jim Schlossnagle and Michael Early are positioning for the bigger picture. And when we heard Schloss earlier say we've earned the opportunity to rest, get ourselves right, what does that in your mind look like? I mean, how do you approach these next 2 weeks? I know the tournament will be the tournament, but what are the things that you think they're working on? The rest versus rust argument. How do you keep them fresh and engaged but also get them the rest they need?
Well, you got to play the game to still stay in tune with it. I do believe that. It's not like professional baseball where you play 6 days a week. So I do think the guys are going to play. I do believe that. The lineup will play. I think if the opportunity creates itself to get some other guys in there to hit, I think they do that. I think they pinch hit a lot. I think they, depending on how long they stay in the tournament, I do think, you heard them talk about that, the 3 guys that went out there on Saturday that didn't throw good, I do think those guys are going to be out there. I mean, that part of them, they're going to find ways to get them in there, hopefully. And if they win game 1, that just creates some more opportunities for some of that bullpen guys and some at-bats for some guys. I think you'd see game 1 lineup, game 2 lineup would be 2 persons different, possibly, than what it normally is. And but everybody, as long as get a chance, they need to play. They need to hit and stay in tune with what and keep the momentum.
Let me ask you this about Schloss' comment that he made. He beat himself up a little bit that he didn't get him up to Hoover early enough last year. Like he thought it was good to wait because they, much like this year, they were the 1 seed last year. So they weren't playing until Thursday or Friday. And he said, we didn't get there in time. Is that, leaving these guys back behind in Austin and there's not much going on? And what am I going to do? Looking for things to do? Or just get them into that environment, get them up to Hoover, get them around the game, even though they're not playing till Friday.
Get them around the game. And you control them. You get to control what they're doing because you schedule their day out for them, and so
it's a team activity.
and go to the ballpark. Yeah. Like you have earned a chance to sit in the bleachers and look at the other teams that are having to play in front of you because you've earned the right to sit there and watch them and wear your Texas shirt and go, we won. We're number 2. We're number 2 in this deal. So I think it's awesome. And kids, baseball players love going to the games. I don't care. You may think as a fan or other people may think they love to go to the games. They may not stay for the whole game, but they love to go and watch and talk. They all know each other.
Yeah, they're all buddies.
They're all played against each other growing up. Yeah. They all played summer ball against each other, and then during the season. So they all know each other, and they're out there watching it. It's freaking awesome. And I agreed. Jim and I talked about it a little bit, that he's just like, I want to get them there so they can go to the ballpark. It's such an awesome event. It's so well run. It's so much fun. You're treated like a big leaguer. You got, all these great things that make it a special event. Let's go let them experience it.
Well, you talked about that, gosh, way back to our early episodes up in Arlington with those early tournaments that are where they treat you right in a major league ballpark. And this has that kind of feel. And, it doesn't have the overall championship, aspiration, but at the same time, yes, let's get around the game. And I think that's a great point that the guys get to, I won't say brag a little bit, but they just get to relax a little bit, but stay around the game.
It's freaking baseball. And they get to go watch a game, watch their buddies, and then think about what they would have done in that situation. It's way better than, trying to figure out where you may be going downtown, whatever. So, I mean, it just, for a coach's
or laying around the apartment playing video games.
Yeah, but I would challenge you to this. I heard just one, you guys were talking about it, and I totally believe everybody's in the right mind to have a thought about the conference tournaments any way they want. And because I can see different paths of it. I think if you went to Hoover and you sat in there for 3 days, you'd feel differently about it. I think if you got into the moment and watched those games as a fan and then saw how those teams come in and out of there and the fan bases and all that kind of stuff,
I probably would.
I think it would change your mindset with it. Just because it is such a cool event. And postseason, even though it's a conference tournament, the postseason feel starts to turn your knobs up. And again, I know it's, some people aren't going to pitch their best guys maybe, and they're not going to, or they're going to minimize their innings and different things like that because they're looking ahead. 100% they are. That's what they're preparing for. But in the same breath, postseason, it's just different.
I get
that edge up on it.
Yep. Well, that's good stuff. And obviously this will be the precursor to the bigger stuff, which is the announcement of the Field of 64. And we will record our 16th episode of the Talkin Ball podcast next week once we know the field. We assume if you're looking for your calendar and you're going to be enjoying a 3-day weekend coming up, watching the tournament, Memorial Day on Monday, just know that the top 8 national seeds will be officially out on Sunday. NCAA will put those out on Sunday, and then on Monday morning, then the full Field of 64 will be announced. Yep. Tournaments will be all over.
I think.
11 a.m., and obviously there will be no pins and needles in Austin or College Station. Probably will be some potentially down at Bobcat Land.
Yeah. That's hard. That's hard when you're on the bubble, and that's not any fun. But that's just part of it. How about let's do that?
Can I ask you this real fast before you close this? As a coach, do you ever have an indication whether you're in or not until you see it flash up on the television? You don't. No, they don't call you ahead of time.
Some of the bigger schools have information. There are people that'll leak out information.
Okay.
We didn't. But
we didn't.
No, matter of fact, we it's kind of one time had everybody, if they could come up and watch if they wanted to, because we were on the bubble. I didn't make them because I wasn't sure we were going to get in. We were deserving, but at that time we didn't have the administrative support to go out and lobby for us. Like you had, there is. You're lobbying all the time, by the way, and particularly if you're on the bubble. And whatever. That's in the past. So, but it's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable for your players. It's awkward for the coaches and everybody to go,
Because
what
you
do
think
we
about
do?
it, if you sit there and everybody gathers and you don't get in, it's
You know what's interesting, though? I gave them the option to come up if they wanted to come up. And 85% of them came up there. And we, even when we didn't get in, and again, we were inside 40 that year. And when we didn't get
I remember that year.
Yep. And when we didn't get in, I was glad they came because we all sat up there, talked about the year, talked about our disappointments, talked about our what ifs, talked about what we did was we did it together. And so I was actually
there was some
resolved.
closure to not getting in, even though it's unfortunate.
That's right. And so I was glad they came in the end of it. So here's what I was going to end this with, is that I think what we need to do, and we can do it today or say we're going to do it, and then we'll see what happens 363 days from now. But I think we say we're going to go next year to Hoover, you and I. We'll do your show from down there in the mornings, and then we'll be there. And then we'll experience Hoover. I've not been.
I think we need to.
And I think it'd be a great exercise for all of us to go do it and enjoy it and get to watch baseball and do your show in the morning and watch baseball in the afternoon.
Well, there you go. Talking Ball audience. Next,
go with us.
Grow with us, share it with us, go with us, and we'll have a great time. I'll do the game time on 102.7 ESPN up there from early in the morning, and we'll have a good time because games are underway as of right now. Ole Miss is playing Missouri in the 16-9 matchup, and there's games for tomorrow and full slate on Thursday and Friday into the weekend, so it's going to be fun. Challenge accepted, my friend, and I'm already. If Texas gets to Omaha, we might need to go up there.
We do. Ain't no might. That is one of those, that is a special place God created. That I mean, look, he puts his hands on a lot of things and makes some great things, but he did it right when he made Omaha, Nebraska. I'm telling you right now, it is. If you have never been, that's your fault. You need to go.
Yeah.
Whether you got to hitchhike up there, whether you got to stay in a, who knows what, to get there and stay there. But
in a
you
yurt.
need to go to.
You have to stay in a yurt. Look that up if you want to. It's like a big teepee tent.
Yeah, park it in the parking lot, whatever it is. But it is something if you've not been, it's something special to enjoy.
Well, something special today. It's great. Postseason baseball's here. We're excited about it, and we'll be talking about it on Talkin Ball. Longhorns the 2 seed, Aggies the 3. Texas State hoping to get in. We'll be talking about all that next week. And obviously, we'll be down to a field of 64 as of next week, which we're excited about into episode 16. Thank you to the law office of David J. Lopez. If you need a personal injury advocate, can't recommend them enough. It's white glove concierge service from a Longhorn fan. It's also got some Texas A&M ties. I'll tell you that. You'll get to know David. Go to the website, davidjlopezlaw.com. Ty Harrington, Erin Hogan. Thank you to our producer, Drew. And that is episode 15 in the books. Enjoy. Share it with a friend. Find it at 102.7 ESPN on our YouTube channel. Enjoy the baseball all weekend long, y'all.